We are quickly coming up on 20 episodes of After Dark already. And it's kind of crazy to me that we've done this many episodes already. And even though I've published some of them out of sequence, we still are just about at 20 episodes. And over the 20 episodes, we have done a lot of reactions to a lot of different videos. And I don't want to, and I'm going to keep doing that, but I don't want to just stick to only reaction videos. Every once in a while, I kind of want to step back and have a little bit of fun, throw you a little bit of a curveball, do a bit of a change of pace, whatever vernacular you want to use. I want to change things up every once in a while. So I think it's kind of recumbent on me to maybe take an episode, probably two, to talk about one of my favorite shows of all time, Doctor Who, that just completed its latest season at the time of me recording this. And if you listen to the audio podcast, To Boldly Pod, you know a few years ago, I did one of the standard Rank the Doctors episodes of To Boldly Pod, and it would probably be fun to go back and listen to that after I do this, because I'm going into this sort of, I don't want to say unprepared, but unscripted, kind of like how I do that podcast. And it would be fun to see how the rankings that I'm about to do compare up with the rankings that I did a few years ago. See if anything has possibly changed. Because one thing about Doctor Who, at least to me, is it's got such a broad history to it. I mean, any show that's been in the lexicon of television for going on 65 years now. We're at sitting currently at 62 years. And yeah, it wasn't on for a while in the 90s, except for one movie, which we're going to talk about. And it's been around for a long time. There is nothing, in my opinion, that's quite as iconic as Doctor Who. Is it my favorite show of all time? No, it's always going to be Star Trek for me, but Doctor Who would easily fall in the second place of my rankings of favorite shows of all time. And I got this idea from actually another friend's social media post, and it wasn't her comment, it was actually a friend of hers, somebody that I don't know, that posted that Shuti Gatwa, the latest doctor, was one of her favorite doctors of all time. So I'm like, well, maybe it's time for me to update my ranking of the doctors. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to rank, in my opinion, how I think the doctors stack up against one another. And just for sake of argument, there's going to be a few omissions. We are not going to include the War Doctor in this little ranking because he's really doesn't have enough of a tenure. And I know there's going to be people that take issue with that when we get to 8, but I'll explain as we go. He is a seminal part of the canon, and he's been enveloped into the canon, but just for sake of debate, we're going to leave him out. We're also going to leave out the fugitive doctor, and I'm not leaving her out for any ill will like a lot of people have with Chris Chibnall's writing of the doctor when he was showrunner. I just think, kind of like the War Doctor, she doesn't have enough of a story, in my opinion, to include her in the ranking. So that means we're also going to leave out what is commonly known now as the 14th Doctor. It's going to confuse some non-Doctor Who fans, some non-Whovians, when we get to the actual countdown, because the actor's actually going to pop up again. But we'll explain that as we go. But 14 was really only around for the 60th anniversary set of specials a few years ago. And yeah, we're not going to include him either. So this is how we're going to do it. I am going to start at, technically it'll be 14, but since Shuti got was 15, we're going to rank the 14 actors or 14 portrayals of the titular character known as the Doctor. So here we go. So let us kick things off, shall we, with the very first selection, or how I'm going to rank the person at the bottom of my list. And this is so hard to do because there isn't a single Doctor that I don't really love. So ranking these things is exceedingly difficult because if I put it together and I'm like, do I really want them there? And I kind of forced myself to do it. So at the bottom of the list is actually the very first Doctor of the entire series, portrayed by William Hartnell. It's the first Doctor.
If the toy maker loses the game, his world will vanish, but he has the power to build a new one.
How?
The toy maker is immortal. He's lasted for thousands of years. Very occasionally, of course, he loses the game and then he has to pay the price.
That price is the loss of his world?
Yes, but he himself is not destroyed. He goes on forever.
So we can't leave.
There must be a way. Will you leave my ship alone? Do you hear me? Will you leave my ship alone?
Let me have it, Doctor. It would be such an amusing toy.
And so much of the canon of the entire series was sort of put in motion during the first Doctor's tenure. A lot of it came during the second Doctor's that we know and talk about to this day. But the foothold was definitely starting to get laid during the first Doctor. So at the bottom of the list, we're going to put the very first Doctor. I think if we go back and listen to my Too Boldly Pod ranking of the Doctors from a few years ago, you're probably going to realize that the first Doctor that I listed at the bottom and this next Doctor probably flip-flopped in that ranking. And there's kind of a reason that I've elevated this Doctor above the first Doctor. But in the meantime, coming in next in my rankings is the 8th Doctor, performed by Paul McGann.
He's British.
I suppose I am. Jelly baby officer.
Sometimes you're better off dead. There's a gun in your hand, there's pointing at your head. You think you're mad, too unstable, kicking in chairs and knocking down tables in a restaurant in a West End town. Call the police, there's a madman around, running down underground to a dive bar in a West End town.
Now, quick Cliff Notes version if you're not aware. Doctor Who was canceled by the BBC in 1989, and it was optioned in the mid-90s by Fox here in the United States for what they were calling was just a one-off movie. And there's different stories. The BBC will say that Fox wanted to option it as a backdoor pilot to sort of restart Doctor Who here in the United States. It was kind of a colossal flop at the time, and I didn't really I've learned to enjoy the movie more as time has progressed. I did not really like it at the time. I thought it was terrible. And most people have ranked the Eighth Doctor, specifically because of the movie, at the very bottom of their ranking lists. And I have been the same because that's really the only appearance that he ever had was in that movie. And when they rebooted the show in 2005 with Christopher Eccleston, they just sort of brushed off the fact that he regenerated, and we never really got the backstory until 2013 for the 50th anniversary, where they actually did a really nice job of building this sort of backstory of how the Eighth Doctor regenerated into the War Doctor and film this little short that's still available on YouTube. And from that, I've gained a lot of more respect and appreciation for the Eighth Doctor. But he still goes second in our list. Coming in next on our list of ranking my favorite doctors, we had the first Doctor, then we had the Eighth Doctor. Up next, this is kind of really where it starts to get hard because I have a hard time separating them. But coming in next is the actor that what they called at the time wanting to bring back youth to Doctor Who was after 7 years of Tom Baker. A lot of people thought the show was kind of aging, so they wanted to get a young actor. So they got young Peter Davison to come in and be the Fifth Doctor.
By the way, how's Sergeant Benton these days?
Oh, left the army in 79, sells second-hand cars somewhere.
And Harry Sullivan?
Seconded to NATO. Last heard of doing something very hush-hush at Porton Down.
Do you ever see anything of Joe Grant?
What?
My assistant, Joe Grant.
Joe?
Sarah Jane?
Sarah Jane.
Liz Shaw, you'll remember, of course.
Liz Shaw.
Are you all right?
Someone just walked over my grave.
Perhaps it was a Yeti. Colonel Lethbridge Stewart.
And I actually really, really love his portrayal of the Doctor. I thought it was a good segue into the 80s to have a younger, hipper Doctor. But we're ranking the Doctors, so I have to put him somewhere. So Peter Davison's Sixth Doctor, I said Sixth Doctor, Fifth Doctor comes in next in our countdown. This is the point of the countdown where I'm going to start getting some pushback from some people. And you just have to realize that I'm a fan of the entire genre of the entire tenure of the program. So it not only goes from 1963, it goes all the way to 2025. My fandom didn't start in 2005. And that's not a bad thing if that's what happened with you. That's perfectly great. I think it's great that the show continues to get new fans. But a lot of people think the show started in 2005. In fact, it didn't. It was on for 25 years before that. So, like I said, I'm going to get some pushback for this one. But my next Doctor, it's the Ninth Doctor. portrayed by Christopher Eccleston.
What are you doing here?
I live here.
Well, what'd you do that for?
Because I do. I'm only home because someone blew up my job.
Must have got the wrong signal. You're not plastic, are you? No. Bonehead, bye then.
Oh, sweet. Look at these two. How come I never get any of that?
Buy me a drink first.
Such hard work.
But worth it. I bring you air from my lungs.
It's really, really hard to rank these doctors, especially with a show that I love so much. And I thought Christopher Eccleston did a fantastic job reinserting Doctor Who into society for everyone. I think the one season that he was on, he was brilliant at it. And I think if he would have continued beyond that one season, he probably most definitely would have been higher on a lot of people's lists. But things did happen, and we've heard all the stories from all the sides, so he was only on there for 1 year. And he did do a wonderful job. But what I knock him down for is he was only on for 1 season. It was a fantastic season, but you have to put him somewhere. So the Ninth Doctor goes next on our list.